if we're not going to play perfectly, and they had 5 errors in the first 2 games of that series, then our offense has to be good enough to cover up for the mistakes.
Welcome into TexAgs Rewind here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Intern Day. We've got Mac at the News and Social Center, and we got Will Fain making his debut on the show. What's up, man?
Hey, never better.
Can I tell a personal story about you?
You go right ahead.
You asked a woman to prom when you were like 17 years old, like a TV personality.
It was the best.
How did you do that?
So at first, as a basketball manager, then they had a professional baseball player there at our basketball game.
You're giving me like the autobiography version.
Oh,
of it.
well, yeah.
Okay.
And everyone wanted pictures with him, and I was like, I'm going where the news reporter was. That was a way better picture. Asked her to Twitter, and it just blossomed from there.
That's awesome. That's a cool story. I'm happy you're joining us here.
Yes, sir.
Mac Attack, your first day doing the, is that okay? Can I call you the Mac Attack? Well, they call you Mac and Cheese, Mac Attack. What else do they call you?
Mac Attack works, Kaya, Eminem.
Why Eminem?
Micaiah McDonald.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would make sense. Because I'm thinking Mac Attack. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of the show today?
Definitely hearing the news about College Game Day coming.
That was big.
Big.
Heck yeah, that was good. What was your favorite part?
Oh, it's always great listening to Tom Hart.
Really? Yeah, I feel like he was great. I feel like Olin Buchanan didn't get enough of a billing. But nobody said Billy Liucci calling the show on the breaking news. That was huge. We had Liucci on the show. We had Tom Hart. You name it. It is the TexAgs Rewind. Check it out.
Yeah, probably if you're really good everywhere else.
Okay.
Like if you have a great defense and maybe a great running game.
For instance, to use J.J. McCarthy, was he...
Stetson Bennett a great quarterback?
Not the year they won the national championship. They won it 2 years. But the first year, he was not... He had elite numbers his second year.
Yeah. They won because of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did he do some really good things? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But when you had that offensive line and a running game
and that defensive line
and some receivers, I mean, you can't be incompetent.
Didn't they have 18 guys drafted on that team?
Yeah, what I'm saying is you can't be incompetent. But I never thought of Stetson Bennett as being an elite quarterback.
Can you win with an average, not elite, offensive line?
No.
I agree.
No, you can't.
Can you win with an average, not elite, defensive line? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think the thing that's really sets the SEC apart, I've always felt like this. You go back and look it up and look at the championship teams and what they have is the interior line play, the speed in the interior defensive line.
Can you win with an average wide receiver room? That's a tough one. Because if you look at teams that have made the playoffs the last few years, they have pretty elite wide receiver cores. I don't know if Alabama had an elite wide receiver core.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I think they had a good one.
Good one.
I think he's really good, but I don't think
above average though, right?
Probably above average, but
yeah.
One guy, like the guy that transferred to Texas, I'm like, he was okay,
right?
Until he made that catch against Auburn. What had he really done?
Jacob, I get you insiders on the show, and I always like perspectives of what you think about a team. So I want your perspective on A&M, but I also preface it saying we're in such a weird place of college football. It's very hard to evaluate Auburn, A&M, even Alabama because of all the changes, coaching changes, personnel changes, 30 new roster guys at this place. So from what you've seen about A&M, how do you perceive them? What kind of threat are they in the West this year? Or excuse me, there is no West, in the SEC.
I know I'm having to correct myself and catch myself all the time that there are no divisions and you've got new teams. It's going to take us a little bit, but yeah, you're right, man. A&M they're one of the question marks coming in with a new coach and just so many new players, and they're always going to have talent. I mean, there's no doubt about it with the facilities and the fan base and the NIL money. They're going to have a competitive roster. It just depends on, okay, how quickly can it come together? And in the SEC, you just don't have a whole lot of time to put it together because you're having to do it literally on the fly. Plus, as you said, you're playing teams like Notre Dame in non-conference play. And so it's not easy to improve your team, improve your roster in games like that. But A&M is always a team that is going to be there. And I think this year they may not be flirting with an SEC championship, but they could be a spoiler for a lot of teams. And in what was the SEC West, they would still be running to make it to the top 2 or 3. And now that there are no divisions and it's just 1 through 16 now, they'll be a top half team. I'm guaranteeing that. I don't feel any different about that. And I'm kind of in the same boat as everybody else. I'm excited to see what they become and what they are by the time they come to Jordan-Hare, and what Auburn is by the time A&M rolls in too.
New head coach. It's Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. It's a night game at Kyle Field. The 12th man, probably 105,000. It's going to be unbelievable. Game day to start it off. It's going to be a long day. You're going to, people that go to game day, or everybody's going to be watching it, of course. You're going to be getting up about 7:30, 7 o'clock, and you're probably getting home about midnight after the Aggies and Fighting Irish go at it. But what a way to kick off the Mike Elko era. I was talking about the other day, Dave. I don't know when the last time, well, I do know, I guess it's been 13 years ago, or 12 years ago, 2012, been a dozen years, Texas A&M versus Florida at Kyle Field. That was probably the most anticipated home opener. This is the most anticipated home opener since then. And then if you go back, not home opener, season opener at Kyle Field. And if you go back further than that, man, I don't know. I don't know who the Aggies had at home to open a season. I'd like to go back and look at that. That might be a good conversation piece on the board to go back and think. And I'll have some more thoughts on all this today during the Ask Liucci segment, I'm sure.
Well, Billy, it has me thinking this is potentially, and look, I don't know what's up for 25, but potentially A&M on College Game Day to start the season 2 years in a row, because the following year they're going to be in South Bend. So, I mean, if this season plays out the way I think it could, and for both programs, we're seeing something that could be potentially Game Day to start 2 years in a row.
Well, I think that'll depend a lot on A&M, because you'll lose some of that novelty of what you have right now, which is the new coach at Texas A&M, the Mike Elko era kicking off, and then also, Kyle Field, which they're wanting to check that box. They might, they might be here twice this year.
Tom, if I remember correctly, you're on the call this weekend, right, for Arkansas A&M?
Yeah, that's right.
So, are you at the concern level of A&M? Like, obviously, you look at every SEC team, but if you're an A&M fan, should you be concerned for what you've seen the last couple weekends?
Well, I think Schloss put it pretty well during or right after that LSU series, where he said, listen, if we're not going to play perfectly, and they had 5 errors in the first 2 games of that series, then our offense has to be good enough to cover up for the mistakes. And it wasn't in the LSU series, and it certainly wasn't last week either. And I think there is I've never been a sky is falling Chicken Little, but I think it's fair to say, hold on a second. Braden Montgomery's in a real slump. Like, the bottom of the order did not necessarily do its job, and neither did some of our stars last week. The strength of this team is, and we've discussed this before, it's not just hitting the ball out of the ballpark, it's getting on base. And getting on base and setting the table for guys who can do that. And I was just going over the numbers from, each of the last 2 weekends. And yeah, I mean, that's cause for concern. It doesn't mean that can't be found again. Now, it's going to be tough against Hagen Smith, who is the best pitcher in the SEC this year, easily. It's going to be tough to find your rhythm against him, but you better have an opportunity against the Arkansas bullpen. I could see if A&M doesn't find the offense this weekend, and I know this weather's going to play a role in all of this, and some thunderstorms likely. They're likely to be low-scoring games on both sides, because Arkansas's offense, just especially on the road, has been very pedestrian. So then the question becomes, okay, can you play clean enough? Don't issue free passes. Don't make mistakes in the field. Can you play clean enough to win a close game, a 1-2 run game, and have the other team make those mistakes?
All right, we're going to close it out. Faniac.
Yes, sir.
Tell the people what to do.
Like, subscribe,
You were prepared. I hate when they're prepared.
Retweet, repost everything.
How did Mac do?
Fantastic.
How'd you do?
I like to think I did a pretty good job.
Nick, how did he do?
Great.
Great.
Sorry.
Complain.
He was busy. All right, we'll see you next time.